Before the agricultural revolution, people would work long, hard hours planting crops in their fields just to make barely enough to survive.
Look at this. It is the pitiful result of all our hard work.
We'll barely have enough to survive the winter.
This is what we call subsistence farming, where people only make enough to survive and what little extra they do have is used to pay off taxes.
When I'm old and grey, I'll be right in my prime, living in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight, having a wonderful time.
This is what we call commercial farming. People have more than enough to eat and make lots of money off selling it.
But how did this come to be?
In the 1700s, Jethro Tull created what is now called the Jethro Tull, otherwise known as the seed drill. It is a horse-drawn carriage with spikes at the end that pokes perfect holes into the ground and sows seeds into neat rows. This action of poking perfect holes and planting seeds used to take farmers weeks now only takes a few hours.
Selective breeding is the process of choosing the optimal trait in a plant or animal and then breeding it with similar organisms to receive offspring with the desired traits. Before the agricultural revolution, food was eaten no matter its traits, but after, they bred only the best cows, or the best wheat, or the best cotton. The list goes on and on. Selective breeding greatly improves your chances of having successful produce. By making corn ears bigger and sweeter, food tasted better, as well as developing it to survive harsher conditions. Cow's fodder was made to have much more sugar in it, so cattle would gain weight quickly and keep them heavy with sweet milk. Steadier crops began to take over, and soon immunity, strength, and bountiful harvest helped grow human populations. Here you can see a horse. They would often pull heavy machinery that did the work of humans, but much, much faster. As you can also see, this field is enclosed with both fences and bushes. The Enclosure Act of the 1700s greatly increased the yield of the crops. Less animals will eat the produce, and people can get an official account of how much food there is and who owns it. In 1705, England exported 11.5 million quarters of wheat. By 1765, wheat export had risen to 95 million quarters.
Approximately 100 years after the Jethro Tull was invented, the American Agricultural Revolution kicked off with the invention of the cotton gin in 1794. This is 1794 in America. Cotton was an important crop, but it was hard to grow and even harder to clean. Only 1 pound was produced on average per day. After the cotton gin was invented, there was a 500% increase per day, over 50 pounds on average.
I was 11 years old when I went to work in the mill. We worked 12 hours a day for 50 cents. The textile industry's growth was based on a vastly expanding number of women and children in the mills. In the 4 textile states in 1890, men formed only 35% of the workforce, women made up 40%, and the children between the ages of 10 and 15 made up 25%. Lower wages and longer hours accounted for cheaper cotton manufacturing in the South. These children, who might have worked a 60-hour work week, were allowed to keep maybe 25 cents of their wage, if any, after household expenses were taken care of. Many children look forward to becoming of age to work in the mill as a way to get out of the hot and back-breaking work of farming, while others preferred to remain on the farm. The choice, however, was not theirs to make. If it had been, all the women I talked to would have chosen to be in school. More production of food increased population and innovated the world. However, there were many effects of this that continue today. One of these effects is child labor. They often worked long, hard hours in the field. As no official safety committee watched productions, people were often injured beyond repair for wages that sometimes couldn't pay a boarding bill. Because of the agricultural revolution, all this work was made possible, and many people moved on to factories. People who still worked in the fields were often slaves. receiving harsh treatment and no pay for their work.
Hello and welcome to Agricultural Studios. My name is Silver Flamerai and we're here today with our guest star, Jethro Tull, to talk about his inventions for farming and agriculture.
Well, the seed drill is an invention that can plant multiple seeds a couple of inches into the ground. Instead of sowing seeds over the course of a week, you can do it in a couple of hours with the seed drill.
Is there anything else you invented?
I also invented the horse hoe, which speeds up the plowing of fields via horse. This leads to an increase of farming production.
Because you died such a long time ago, do you have any questions about the future?
I died in 1741, and sadly never got to see the increased production it caused. Can you tell me anything about it?
I can. Because of high crop production, the population and economy increased. With the good came the bad, though. Slavery increased because more people were needed to harvest the crops. Because free labor is cheap, people quickly became wealthy and population increased. Well, it was nice meeting you, Mr. Tull.
Likewise. Have fun reaping the rewards of the agricultural revolution.
I will.
Overall, the agricultural revolution led to population growth, scientific changes in the way we grew crops and bred livestock, and the Industrial Revolution. Workers flooded to factories because they were no longer needed in the farms. Efficiency grew, and with it, so did our skill. We used it to master agriculture and technology. Without it, we might not be here today with our clothes, tools, and machinery mass-produced in a factory. And it was all thanks to the agricultural revolution.
Okay, hang on.